Okay, so chances are you're holding one of these right now, or at least it's in your pocket. The iPhone. It's an absolute icon, right? It's defined a whole generation of technology. But have you ever, really stopped to think about a super simple question?
Yeah, this one. Who actually builds the iPhone? I mean, it seems obvious, but trust me, the answer is way more complicated and honestly, way more interesting than you'd guess.
So your first thought is probably Apple. Duh, right? But here's the thing. That's just one tiny piece of this giant, fascinating puzzle. And what if I told you that Apple doesn't actually build the iPhone at all?
Okay, so let's dive into what I like to call the Apple illusion. This is a story about design, sure, but it's also about assembly and a whole lot of collaboration. It starts in California, yeah, but it's going to take us all around the world. You know that little phrase on the back of every Apple product? Designed by Apple in California. That part is 100% true. The vision, the software, how it feels in your hand, all of that genius is born in Cupertino. That is Apple's special sauce. But the actual physical thing in your hand? Well, that's a whole other chapter. The incredibly complex job of putting millions and millions of these things together, that's handled by some major manufacturing partners, like the famous Foxconn, in these absolutely enormous factories in China. And what about the brain of the whole operation? You know, that super powerful A-series chip that makes it all run so smoothly. Well, that comes from another expert entirely, TSMC, over in Taiwan. So think about it. When you hold an iPhone, you're not just holding a device from one company. You are literally holding a piece of the entire world. So this global network, it introduces us to the real makers. Let's pull back the curtain and talk about the business model that makes all of this tick. It's all about partnership. And let me tell you, this isn't just an Apple thing. This is the secret playbook for pretty much every big company out there today. Right, so there's a fancy business school term for this. It's called inter-firm cooperation. But really, all it means is strategically managing your relationships with all these different partners, your suppliers, your distributors, to make better stuff, save money, and get it to more people. That's it. It's the modern business playbook. And this whole idea of cooperation really boils down to three main things. First up, you've got supply chain management. That's the crazy, complex dance of getting millions of tiny parts to the right place at exactly the right time. Then there's outsourcing. That's when you smartly hand off jobs like assembly to partners who are the best in the world at it. And finally, and this one's huge, there's collaborative innovation. This is where Apple and its partners aren't just building something, they're inventing stuff together, really pushing the limits of what's even possible. Now, as powerful as this all sounds, it's not easy. It's a total high-wire act. Managing this kind of global network, well, it creates a super high-stakes partnership. It's this constant, delicate balance between massive rewards and some pretty huge risks. I mean, look at this. It's a real balancing act. On the one hand, the rewards are amazing. You get better products, you can make them more efficiently, and you foster all this incredible innovation. But the flip side is just as real. You can have massive conflicts between partners, total supply chain nightmares, I mean, we've all seen that happen, and even big fights over who actually owns the next big idea. So, how in the world do you make this work without it all falling apart? Well, it's not just about lawyers and contracts. It really comes down to three things: trust, crystal clear communication, and making sure everybody gets something out of the deal. For this whole network to work, every single partner has to feel like they're winning. Okay, so this brings us to the big idea, our final section, the network economy. Because here's the kicker. The story of the iPhone isn't some weird special case. It's literally the blueprint for how almost everything is made in the 21st century. Yeah, let's be super clear about this. Apple's success isn't the exception to the rule. It is the rule. This interconnected web of cooperation is how the whole modern economy works. We're talking cars, clothes, the coffee maker on your counter, you name it. And the logic behind this network is actually pretty simple and super powerful. Step one, a company figures out what it's truly great at. For Apple, that's design and software. Step two, it finds partners who are the best in the world at everything else. Step three, they all work together to create a product that feels totally seamless. And step four, well, that's us, the customer, getting to experience the final result. It's like a global orchestra where every musician is a virtuoso. So this leaves us with a really big question to chew on. If almost everything is made through these huge global partnerships, then what even is a company today? Seriously, think about it. Is Apple a hardware company? A software company? Or is it something else entirely? Like a master conductor, whose real genius isn't playing an instrument, but getting an entire orchestra of the world's best performers to play in perfect harmony. Kind of makes you rethink things, doesn't it?